In today's video, we're going to really quickly go over the tropics and the upcoming pattern, but as a bonus, today we're going to be going over the winter analogs. So we're going to go through the temperature and the precipitation forecasts of those analogs, which is really just using historical data of years that look similar to this one, seeing what those look like. And I've been talking about the winter a little bit here recently because we are expected to release our third winter forecast to the public here in just a week or two, give or take. Now, speaking of that, we did just release our third winter forecast in our Prestige Weather exclusive community. So in the links in the pinned comment and description down below, you can gain access to that today and find out what our updated winter forecast looks like for only $5 a month. We also do weather consulting, so that is going to be included with your $5. We do weekly consulting calls. We do other weekly consulting services within our community. Be sure to check it out today. Again, in the pinned comment and description down below for $5 a month. Let's get into that 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook though. As you can see, we do have a downgrade here for this one here. We do have a 20% chance of development over the next 2 days, but over the next 7 days, we did have a 60% chance that has now been slashed down to a 40% chance. And I've talked about this recently because we've had a couple of disturbances down here, but this southern Caribbean area is just not very favorable for tropical activity historically, really ever. It's never been a good spot for tropical development, and we really don't expect it to change this time around either. So this one is looking less and less likely to develop, and that's not to say that it won't, but the odds are on the decline. We will continue to update you guys daily on this one. Let's dive into the upcoming pattern. We will again get into those winter analogs towards the end. I want to take us towards tomorrow afternoon, and we can see the east is going to be pretty quiet. So we don't see much of anything happening in this corridor here. The main story is going to be for the northwest here, where we do have this 1,000 millibar low pressure center over Canada and the northwest of the United States. This goes for areas in Canada, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and even down through Wyoming, as you can see. Let's keep going, and I want to take us straight towards Friday here on November 3rd, and we can see some showery remnants left over here in the northwest. Also a couple of showers here throughout southern Canada and the Great Lakes of the United States, but really a quieter day once again here for Friday, November 3rd. I want to take us straight into Saturday on November 4th here. And as you can see, we do have another storm system moving in through the northwest, this time around a 991 millibar low pressure center. So a little bit stronger this time around, but the location is uncanny. We see that this is almost exactly where that previous low was located. We can see snowfall throughout the Canadian Rockies. The United States sides of things, we don't see too much in the form of wintry precipitation, mostly just heavy rainfall again for California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, almost identical to that previous storm that we just took a look at. Let's move this towards Sunday afternoon, and just like its predecessor, we do see that this one is left with showery remnants just 24 hours later, both through the northwest, the Rockies, and the northern plains. We're seeing a plethora of types of precipitation, rainfall in some spots, freezing rain in others, and then snowfall for those higher elevations there in the Rockies. Let's take this towards Monday, and we do see what ends up happening with this is we do actually see a little bit of a stronger low continue to stick around here over eastern Canada. This is going to bring rainfall mostly for the United States and some snowfall there in Canada, as you can see for these pockets here, heavier in some spots. And we have our third low pressure system over almost the same exact spot here for Monday afternoon. Rainfall and snowfall here for very similar locations. We're not going to dive too much into that because, again, it is almost identical. Tuesday, November 7th, we do see that there is showery remnants, you guessed it, over the northern United States, this time stretching pretty far eastward, as you can see. So a 993 over Maine and Canada border there. It does look like we have another storm moving into the northwest, and we sure enough do for Wednesday afternoon there on the 8th. This one doesn't really have an organized low, but it is bringing some precipitation to these areas. A little bit more wintry this time around, as you can see. Snowfall spreading throughout the western states there in the northwest, and also for the Rockies as a very heavy snowstorm starts to take place here on the day for Wednesday, November 8th. Now, as we work our way towards Thursday, November 9th, you can see 1,001 here over Missouri and Illinois. Rainfall and snowfall, depending on where you're at here. We definitely have a whole lot going on throughout this entire corridor there. Let's take this finally towards Friday, and we do have this eastern winter storm potentially on the horizon. And I talked about how the timing and location would be everything with this one. We did see a northern uptick in this one, so we are seeing this a little bit more exclusive for the very far northern areas of the Northeast. If this continues to trend north, it would be a Canada exclusive snowstorm. If this was to trend back south, which is a little bit less common, to be honest, we would see potentially more snowfall for the United States. We will dive into the total snowfall in just a moment. But that one eventually moves out, and what we're left with is a big old ridge in the west, and then a trough here in the east, where a lot of cold air is diving in. The warm air surging up out west is the story here. Now, for our precipitation, we see that the northwest, obviously with those identical triplet storms, we do expect quite a bit of activity in this corridor. A lot of the remnants are going to move into the northeast, Ohio Valley, and Great Lakes, and that is why we see this as well. Let's just take a look here at the total snowfall. And as you can see, as a result of all of these storms, we get quite a bit of activity here in the west overall. And then for the Great Lakes, upper Midwest, and Northeast, we get some activity here as well. But again, you're going to want to slash down these amounts in the east, as this is a very unseasonable snowfall event, and you likely will see a lot less than what the projected total snowfall is. But in those purples and pinks, especially for northern New York, northern New Hampshire, and northern Maine, I wouldn't be surprised if we see somewhere around 2 to 6 inches of if this storm was to occur this way, which still has big question marks to come with it as well. So definitely a lot of questions, not too many answers. Let's just take a look at the temperature pattern real quickly. And as you can see, cold in the east, warm out west, no real surprise there. We do see some warming happening in the states in the east, especially as we move towards the 6th, 7th, 8th time frame. We see that stick around. We do start to see some cooling out west, which could be the signs of a negative PNA starting to take place. And what that would do is encourage this warmth to continue to spread into the east. Certainly going to be watching for that type of activity there. But we eventually start to see warming again out west here, which is more, again, indicative of a positive PNA. And that is why we see this cold start to move in towards the end here. Because of that taking place, we see the cold spread eastward again as we approach around the 10th time frame there of November. Now, quickly, as promised, let's dive into the analogs here. As far as temperatures are concerned, we can see out west, we see warmer temperatures here for our historic analogs here that we're using, which is 2002, 2009, 2015. We do see cooler temperatures, especially across the southeast. This is kind of some of my thoughts as we move towards late November and our final winter forecast for the end of November, beginning of December timeframe. I don't know if maybe we won't see that cold begin to look a little bit more southeast based than anything, especially with more frequent storms moving through, and a little bit warmer here in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, as well as the Northeast. I think these two things could be factors as we move forward. Precipitation here, a little bit interesting. We expect in El Niños usually to see the Southwest see the most above average precipitation, but in these particular cases, we did see the Northwest see some above average activity. But again, the Southeast up the East Coast here, this is classic El Nino stuff. Some bigger question marks, I would say, out west that we need to figure out more information about as we move forward through the coming months. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. We do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe for more weather-related content. Be sure to hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.